have some interesting stories with this. The first one, I was a student at BYU studying with Dr. Pollei. And again, I practiced so many hours every day in sections, and we had performance class every week, and on it goes. And I was playing the Mozart Adagio in B minor, and it's in sonata form, which all you need to know is that there is a place in the exposition that goes one way, and then when you return to the main theme in the recap or the recapitulation, at that spot, at some spot usually in the first theme or in the transition, it goes a different way, and I won't go into specifics as this is not a music theory course, but it's a beautiful piece. I worked really hard on it. It's called the Adagio in B minor, and so it is slow. And it goes on. So I loved it and worked hard on phrasing and voicing and all that. During my performance, and I believe this was at my junior recital, I was very caught up in the music and the beauty of the music. And I've said this to myself my whole life, and that was one of the first times that happened to me. I was so caught up that I felt almost like I was transported into another realm. And so there I was, had played through the exposition, development, I'm in the recap, and I am completely in another place. And I got to the spot where in the exposition, it has one chord, and in the recap, it has a different chord, and I played the chord of the exposition. Now, this is a slow piece. It's about 7-8 minutes long. And there I am, almost to the last page. So I have a couple of minutes left to play, and I took myself back to the beginning of in the first theme. So I wasn't completely at the beginning. I just was at the chord that's on the first page. And my good friend Leslie says tunnel A and tunnel B. I love that. So I should have been at tunnel B in the chord, and I took myself back to tunnel A. Luckily for me, there's a rest after that, and I, in the split second, the millisecond, if you will, had to decide. First of all, I said, I can't play this whole piece again. I'm on, the first page down toward the bottom. I can't do this. I can't do it to my audience. And again, and I thought to myself, I know where I am. There was a rest, and I came back in as if I had played the correct chord in the recap. So I went on, and it sounded a little funny for a chord or two. My friend, but I made it, and I went through. So if you went back and looked at the music, you would see what I had done. But my friend later told me, Dr. Pollei just about jumped out of his seat when you played the wrong chord, and then relaxed when I went on as if I had played the correct chord. And so that was interesting to me. I did learn that I have to be careful when performing, that if I put myself, as I say, kind of almost in an unconscious realm where I'm listening to the music and I'm really in the moment of performing, but I am not in control. And so almost any time I've had a memory slip in performance, I figure out later that I'm really kind of just going off muscle memory and really just enjoying the music and not being in control. So I've had to learn, and I'm not perfect at it, but I have a space, my performance space, but it's part of that is to stay conscious. Another time I was playing a different sonata, and I took a wrong turn, not in the typical exposition or recap place, but I hadn't realized that there was a spot in the development that was almost identical to the one in the exposition, and I was in the development playing along, and it was a kind of a moderately fast piece, and all of a sudden I was back in the on the first page, and it jarred me. It kind of woke me up, and I realized, oh my goodness, I'm a little not quite as conscious as I should be. And in that case, I kept going and just basically replayed the exposition because it was a faster piece. And but then I had to think really intently when I got to the development so I wouldn't do the same mistake. One thing I will tell students is you have to be careful because you can take a wrong turn and get caught in a loop. And so be really, really careful, and that takes a lot of preparation. Another experience in taking a wrong turn was kind of the opposite of the other two that I've mentioned. In this experience, this was a slow movement, beautiful. And as I've mentioned in a few of these discussions, when we're performing from memory, we have to stay conscious. That's what I call it. If we let ourselves get caught up in the beauty, we should be caught up in the beauty of the music, but if we lose our sense of control over the music, we have to be careful. And so anytime I've done that and kind of gone on off into the wonder and beauty of the music, and more as if I'm an audience member rather than the performer, then I don't always get in trouble, but that's when things can happen. The performance was going well, and I was very caught up in the beauty of the music, and I all of a sudden found myself, when I had been at the bottom of the first page, which was going into the second theme, all of a sudden I took myself harmonically to the last page. And it's a tunnel A, tunnel B. I knew exactly, when I did it, I knew exactly what happened. So I had that millisecond to decide what to do. Now, I hadn't gone back in time, I'd gone forward, which is a whole nother issue. So in that millisecond, I kept playing and decided to improvise. It was a Mozart sonata. So I decided to improvise in that classical Mozart style to get myself back to what would be the dominant key in the second theme. So I did that and kept it all together, and it worked just fine. I was discouraged after because we always want to get that, we're after perfection. But I felt good that I was able to improvise, keep the style of the piece, and get myself from one key to another. So that's just a little tip as far as what do we do when we take a wrong turn. And if at all possible, keep playing, and very often our fingers and our brain and our hearts will take us back to the right place. So these are just some interesting little experiences with when things happen in the moment and what we can do. I always suggest, let's keep going, no stopping if at all possible. And I mentioned to the music teachers that Dr. Lindeen, who passed away last year, he had all these cute sayings that he said to his students, and one of them was no stopping or he would be funny, and he was just a hoot and we all loved him. He would say no stopping, and he worked on that with students to keep the flow of the music, and most of the time that when we have a finger slip or we take a wrong turn or whatever, if we keep going, we can get ourselves out of it and level off and have a wonderful performance.